What's going on? It's your boy HP Tech. Feel free to like and subscribe. Get your boys' followers up. So I'm back again at the same post in which Herbman claimed that the purpose for Psalm is something totally different than the conventional, logical, universally consensus, um, universal consensus, which is fasting from food and all these different things. Okay, so again, you made a post in which you asked me to address all these different things. The first thing you said you wanted me to address, you wanted me to see is that you're not an imam inventing your own religion, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't really going to get into personal attacks. I made that title because it was kind of a clickbait thing, and I thought that it would allow me to get more views, and, I'm just playing around. But if you want to get into specifics of it, all of you guys, including myself, that are on these platforms claiming a new way of interpreting the Quran, a new way of looking at Islam, are essentially, uh, we essentially think of ourselves as spiritually capable, right? Of being able to tap into some interpretation, understanding of the truth that is different from the majority of the world, or different than the norm. So in a way, you are kind of as an imam for um, the religion, and unfortunately, in like exactly in your example, you're a person who identifies as someone who's spiritually capable, and you're trying to sway the readers, who are the parishioners, if you want to call it, of this new religion that is becoming almost a cult or a sect itself, which is Quran alone, in my opinion. And you're trying to sway them into believing or accepting that fasting in the conventional way is no longer necessary. That's what you're doing. So you are essentially an imam, and you're inventing your own religion by um, making forbidden, or telling people to avoid something which God has actually commanded them to do. So that's very, very bad. You know what I mean? And I'm not sitting here trying to judge you or make you feel horrible about yourself, but I am going to point out exactly to you where the flaws are in your analysis, in your ideology, in your philosophy, in your attitude, in your behavior that I recognize in your words. So, secondly, you say that you're making a deduction based only. You're not making a deduction based only on the last sentence from 2187. Um, and you're telling me to remember that 2187 is not just a sentence out of context, but it is in the context of Psalm, same as 2177. So let's take a look at that really quickly. So let's take a look at 2187. Okay? So let's take a look at 2187. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Permitted for you in the nights of fasting is the approach to your wives. They are garments for you, and you are garments for them. Knows Allah that you used to deceive yourselves, so He turned towards you and He forgave on you. So now have relations with them and seek what has ordained Allah for you, and eat and drink until it becomes distinct to you the thread, the white, from the thread, the black of the dawn. Then complete the fast till the night, and do not have relations with them while you are secluded in the masjid. These are the limits set by Allah, so do not approach them. Thus makes clear Allah His verses for the people, so that they may become righteous. So what makes people righteous? It is that Allah makes clear His verses for them. This phrase alone right here, thus makes clear Allah His verses for the people so that they may become righteous, is seen throughout the Quran in many different contexts. So for you to claim that this is solely directed to 2187 prior passage, which is fasting, is not correct. It's you're telling only one side of the story, which is absolutely inappropriate. This is bias. This is cherry picking. This is a philosophical fallacy. This is a reason fallacy. There's a hole in your reasoning. because of that. You're trying to push your agenda. You're fishing for what you want, specifically out of this, out of the data, out of the information, which is absolutely wrong. So then, same thing for 2177. Should I go to 2177? Let's go to 2177 real quick. I don't want to make this video as long as the one before, because I know it's more difficult for you to actually respond to everything if I make it like that, and I don't want to do that. So 2177, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is not the righteousness that you turn your faces towards the east and the west, but the righteousness is he who believes in Allah and the day the last, and the Malaika, and the book, and the prophets, and gives the wealth in spite of his love to those of the near relatives, and the orphans, and the needy, and the wayfarer, and those who ask, and in freeing the necks, and establishing the prayer, and give the zakah, and those who fulfill the covenant when they make it, and those who are patient in the suffering and the hardship in the time of distress. Those are the ones who are true, and they are the righteous. Okay, I don't understand why you really included that. But again, yeah, so you're taking this specific line out of 287. Again, I'm reiterating the same thing because you're not seeing it, which is very obvious. You're taking the very last bit of 187 and claiming that, oh, yeah, well, see, so since 187, the last part says that thus Allah makes clear his verses so that we became righteous. Psalm's exclusive primary purpose is just to make us righteous. Yes, every deed, like I said again, every deed is supposed to make you righteous. I don't know why this is so difficult for you to understand. Like, honestly, if you're not intellectually capable enough to grasp these little concepts, you have no right to be on the internet pushing your own religion. Basically, that's what you're doing. That's absolutely wrong. If you cannot even grasp the simple fact that every deed in Islam, every deed in the world, every good deed in the world, every good deed makes you closer to righteousness, then I don't know. I don't even know why I'm arguing with you. It's very simple. Get it through. Just have patience with what I'm saying. Don't be moved by arrogance or by the sternness in my voice to wrong yourself further into perdition. So pay attention to what I'm saying. Go back, reread, look at how that phrase is used throughout the Quran, in so many different contexts, and understand that you can't just pick one line at the end of it and say that that is the sole purpose of it. No. We know fasting is for righteousness. We know that zakah is for righteousness. We know that salah is for righteousness. We know that hajj is for righteousness. We know that helping and being humble towards your parents is righteousness. We know that feeding the poor is righteousness. They go on and on and on forever. Okay? All of those things are righteousness. Following anything in the deen how Allah has claimed it to be is righteousness. Abstaining from alcohol or avoiding alcohol is righteousness. Not eating the forbidden is righteousness. All of that is righteousness. So for you to try to target this alone to fasting because you don't want to fast anymore, it shows me your heart, shows me what you're truly trying to get at, and it is not something good. So next, okay, you say third. You say fast is abstaining, which I totally agree with, but you claim it is abstaining from food, drink, and sexual intercourse. Please show me where in the Quran it stated so. Nor in Quran is it written that some is abstaining from food and drink. Instead, it is clearly stated that some is abstaining from. Oh my God! First of all, I am very, very, very ashamed. Again, that you are sitting here claiming for someone to do something when you don't even have a clue about Islam. You are claiming that nowhere in the Quran is written that some is abstaining from food and drink, but you claim that it is stated instead that it is abstaining from talking. Where? Let's check 1926. Let's see if what you say is truthful. So eat and drink and cool your eyes. And if you see, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So eat and drink and cool your eyes. And if you see from human being anyone, then say, indeed, I have vowed for the most gracious Salman. So not I will speak today to any human being. Okay. Just as you were saying about 2185 through 2188, that it doesn't state that Psalm itself is abstaining from food, neither does 1926. Neither does 1926 state anywhere specifically that, Psalm is abstaining from food, from talking. Nowhere does it say that here as well. So you're biased. You're trying to pick your own your own data, which is despicable of you. How dare you, you know? How dare you try to misrepresent the truth, you know? While it is clear instead in 2185 through 2187 what it is we're supposed to abstain from. And I've read it already in the beginning and I will read it again. Permitted for you in the nights of fasting is the approach to your wives. What does this mean? That during the day of Siam, you're not supposed to what? Approach your wives. But it says that now at night it is permitted to you. And where do we fast? We fast throughout the entire day. As long as there's light, we fast. So this is like straightforward implication, straightforward, and like you cannot go anywhere around it. They are garments for you, and you are garments for them. Knows Allah that you used to deceive yourselves, so He turned towards you and He forgave on you. So Allah knows that the people used to deceive themselves by abstaining from their wives, even in the night. You know, so He forgave on them. So now have relations with them and seek what has ordained Allah for you. So it said, go ahead, don't wrong yourself by denying yourself what Allah has ordained for you, just like you're trying to do. It's the same thing you're trying to do. You're trying to deny yourself of something that Allah has ordained for people to do, to fast, because it is good for you. God knows best. He knows best, but you think you know better. Oh my God, man. God, please. I seek refuge with God from the suggestions of the evil ones, you know. God, separate me from the wrongdoers and those who have no knowledge, because I am not part of them. You know, I'm not part of you in anything that you do or say. That's so absolutely wrong. Next part. And eat and drink until it becomes distinct to you the thread, the white, from the thread, the black of the dawn. This is clear. Another component of the fast was to eat, right? Because now at night you can approach your wives and you can eat and drink until it becomes distinct to you the thread, the white, from the thread, the black of the dawn. Okay? So this is straightforward. Okay? Then complete the fast till the night. Okay? So you can eat until right before the day comes and then complete the fast again for all these different things which God has sanctioned you the freedom to do during the night. Now complete the fast and get again until the night. Do not have relations with them while you're secluded in the masjid. These are the limits set by Allah, so do not approach them. Thus makes clear Allah His verses to the people, for the people, so that they may become righteous. He makes them clear, yet you are claiming something else out of what is inside your heart. Disease, hypocrisy, because obviously you stop fasting, so you're trying to justify it for others to follow you in the wrongdoing. And that's horrible. Okay? Herbert, that's horrible. Next point. Please read point 4 of my post versus analysis and context. You have no analysis and no context, okay? I've been very calm and rational with you, but honestly, I don't feel like you deserve that with the way that you're rationalizing this, especially point 3. It does, the Quran doesn't say that you can abstain from food and drink. Do you think people just pulled it out of their butts? What? Are you serious? You think people for thousands of years that have been fasting? So you don't think that Arabians can have history that isn't compromised? Historical data that isn't compromised? Only westernized people have historical data that is not compromised? So all the history and knowledge about people fasting for thousands of years, they just pulled it out of their butts? They just started fasting 200 years after the Prophet died or something, and all of that before it was none like that. Shut up. Shut up, man. No, I've been too calm, you know, and I'm still trying to be polite, but come on. Enough is enough, you know? Cut the crap. Then you go on with your analysis, and you say 492 says if you kill someone, pay blood money or free your captive. You cannot. If you cannot, you have to psalm. And I pulled up all the verses right here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So let's go ahead and read the 492 really fast. And not is for a believer that he kills a believer except by mistake, and whoever killed a believer by mistake, then freeing of a slave, believing, and blood money is to be paid to his family, unless that they remit as charity. But if he was of a people hostile to you, so in war or something else, and he was a believer, then freeing of a believing slave, believing. No blood money right here. And if he was from a people between you and between them is a treaty, so you have a treaty, you know, between another people that you might have been hostile with, you know, or trying to have some type of relations with them, then blood money is to be paid to his family, and freeing of a slave believing. So honoring contracts of peace and treaty is between those relations are most important between these as well. And whoever does not find, then fasting for 2 months consecutively, seeking repentance from Allah, and is Allah all knowing, all wise. Okay, got that. So then 587 to 589 shows again, if you commit a fault, you have either feed 10 needy people for free a slave if you cannot make a sum. Wrong. It's not committing a fault. Speak appropriately. Say what is right. Don't just blah 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 blah. This is about making an oath. So if you make a promise about something, come through with it. Okay? It could be an oath about anything if you intend it. I will be there tomorrow and I will help you set up those chairs. I will help you with your event. I will do this for you tomorrow. I will do this and that and that. I promise that I'll help you do anything that you really invest yourself in as a promise. Give your word fully. This is what this is intended. You know? And we can read that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Chapter 5, verse 89. Not will call you to account Allah for the thoughtless utterances in your oaths, but He will call you to account for what you contracted of the oath. So its expiation for breaking the oath is feeding of 10 needy people of average of what you feed your families, or clothing them, or freeing a slave. But whoever does not find, then fasting for 3 days. That is the expiation of your oaths when you have sworn, and guard your oaths. Thus makes clear Allah to use verses so that you may be grateful. See the same pattern here? Thus makes clear Allah to you His verses so that you may be grateful, so that you may become righteous. Come on, man. You don't know the Quran. You don't know Quran. Okay, so anyway, again, you were trying to say commit a fault here, and yeah, whatever. It's breaking an oath. Be specific. And 58:3 to 58:34, I got it right here. No, wait, right here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And those who pronounce zihar from to the wives then go back on what they said, then freeing of a slave before that they touch each other, that you are admonished to it, and Allah what you do is all aware. Then whoever does not find, then fasting for 2 months consecutively, before that they both touch each other. But he who is able, then feeding of 60 needy ones, that so that you may believe in Allah and His Messenger. And these are the limits of Allah, and for the disbelievers is a punishment painful. Okay, so again, so your claim is that with these verses here, these reinforce your argument because what exactly? Oh, please explain how fasting from food and drink will help your victims from your fault. So okay, bro. First of all, you have to understand. You don't even understand the basics of God's way of Islam. Anything that you do to wrong, you're to wrong. You kill, you steal, you lie, you drink, you eat the forbidden, you fornicate. All those things, you can only wrong yourself. Even if you slap someone else, you know what I mean? And ultimately, you're wronging yourself. When Musa killed that man, he said, "Oh Lord, forgive me, for indeed I have wronged myself." Okay, yes, he did something horrible. He killed another person. He took them out of the world. But what was his first? What was his first concern? That he's wronged himself. So the fact that you're fasting is not to help your victim. That's nonsense, bro. Like, use logic, use reason and common sense. You fast for yourself because you've done something horrible, for which the penalty is as if you kill the whole world, right? And especially if you kill a believer, it's huge. Okay, so the expiation for yourself, for that wronging, for your own mental health, for your own stability, for your own purity, for your own growth, for your own zakah, is to fast. And it's for yourself. It's not for God. It's not for anyone, for the victims or anything. For the victims, what you have to do is, in context, if you have it, do what it is said. You know what I mean? Free a slave, or play the blood money, or in whatever context. But if you cannot find, then at least for your own self, for your own self, fast. I don't understand what's so big for you. Fasting is such a huge deal for you. People fast. All people have been fasting for thousands of years. Literally, the 3 day fast for breaking your oaths. It's so vastly known and so vastly historical, and there's so much evidence and data for it that if you truly try to sit here and deny it, it's ridiculous. Okay, you trust your own westernized history, but you mock other people's ability to record their own history. Get out of here, man. It's your arrogant selves, man. 5. Please explain clearly, why do you fast from food and drink? Because God said so. Simple. Simple as that. I don't have to go further than that. I fear God. I'm not an arrogant westernized boy who thinks he's better than Allah's knowledge. No. God clearly says in 2:187, which I've read plenty of times now, what the fast is. It's all over the Quran. It's even in the same examples that you've given me here: 492, 587, 589, 583. Those are the reasons why you fast. You fast primarily in Ramadan because it's a commemoration of the Quran. Okay, so let's be specific about that. You fast in 492 for committing murder of someone who's a believer, I say. Okay, not just a random person, of a believer. You fast for 2 consecutive months if you have nothing to give in respect to blood money or freeing a captive. In 587 to 589, you fast if you break your oaths and you don't have enough money to pay for people, for 10 people, or for buying them clothing, or freeing a slave. Then you fast for 3 days, or you can always fast if that's your option. 58:3 to 58:4, you fast because anything that you say with your mouth is huge. We all know this. So if you abstain from your wife by mouth and then you want to go back on your word and like be with your wife, that's huge too. You should be really wary of what you say with your mouth in terms of contracts or like breaking contracts and all the different things. Marriage is a huge deal and you should not just play with it that way. So that's why you would fast consecutively after that, to remind yourself that God's limits are not to be played with. Okay, so that is why I fast. Essentially, all those different things, all those different contexts and different scenarios. That's why I would fast. Abstain from food and drink. You know, so yeah, let's be honest with each other. Okay, please don't stay so stubborn in this way of yours about not fasting, or about imposing not fasting on anybody else because you choose to do so. That's absolutely wrong. Okay, be better than that, brother. Be better than that. These times are now times that are tougher for everyone. Temptations is coming from left and right to everyone, and we don't need to do that to each other. On this little fringe forum where people try to gather and like try to learn something, that is different than what you guys deem as horrible establishment sectarian doctrine. So at least don't make it more divisive in this form. All of you guys do that all the time. You think that anything that is from recorded Arabian practice, culture is wrong, and that's wrong itself. Actually, be truthful when you open the Quran with your eyes, and don't try to reflect any of the darkness in your heart into it. No, go in blind. No, no, I don't mean blind, but go in pure and without biases. Actually, make dua and give charities even before trying to understand any passage from the Quran at this point, because you guys are so lost, so lost. Look at this. Look at all this that you said. You know what I mean? Look at your ideology. Look at your philosophy. It's wrong, wrong. We know why we fast. You even played yourself on your point 4 and then asking me my point 5, why would I fast? Look at all these reasons, you know? So do better, brother. Do better. Assalamu alaikum.